Welcome to networkmarketingpro.com. My name is Eric Worre, and I'm here with another top earner in our profession, a person who has a huge organization around the world, doing very, very well, Mr. Johnny Wimbrey. Johnny, how you doing?
Amazing, Eric. Thank you so much for having me. We've
known about each other for years. And today is the first day we've met.
Met in person, absolutely.
So, yeah, he was... He shot me a text, hey, I'm going to be in Vegas. We got our company thing going on. And I said, well, hey, if you're going to be here, we might as well turn the cameras on. Let's have a conversation. Johnny, where do you live?
I live in Dallas, Texas area.
Okay, forever? You always lived there?
Born and raised in Fort Worth. Live in South Lake, which is still the same area.
Your book is From the Hood to Doing Good.
Yeah.
Check that out. Is there a hood in
Fort Worth? Absolutely.
Fort Worth?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where in Fort Worth?
East side, Stop 6 area. You just gotta, be there. We were
like South Dallas. When I lived in the Dallas area, it was South Dallas.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. South Dallas doesn't come to Stop 6. There's a divide. There's a divide.
Yeah.
We don't go over there. They don't come over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But my earliest memory of life was actually living in San Jose, California. I was in a battered women's shelter. So first memory in life was literally being homeless with my mother, and I'm the youngest of 3 boys, and that's the first thing.
She was in a tough situation.
An abusive situation with my father. There's a twist to the story because we actually got sent back to Fort Worth, Texas.
Well, just start the story at the beginning. Tell me the.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the book is, From the Hood to Doing Good. The Hood is actually an acronym for Hazardous Obstacles of Destruction. So I wrote a book that talks a little bit about my story, but it's really the principles in the book. It's the principles that I used to get through my story. As I got older in life, made a lot of bad decisions in life. Like I said, my first memory in life was living in a battered women's shelter, was homeless, my mother unstable, and here we are sent to San Jose, California for protection from my father. And I failed the 2nd grade, and I remember this very vividly because I failed the 2nd grade in San Jose, and that summer my mother told us that she was going to send us back to Fort Worth, and there was only one word I heard was send, which means she wasn't coming. And she said she'd be there in 2 weeks, and we didn't see her for 3 years. It was a very, very hard time in my life. And
where were you staying? Who were you staying with?
In San Jose, California. When I came back here, I was with my father, Fort Worth. So twist of the story is my father actually raised us. And if you wanted to understand the character of my father, it would be Samuel L. Jackson's character in Pulp Fiction. No doubt. Man. Like verbatim, that's my dad. So my dad was very hard, very tough, very loving, horrible husband, but really and truly, man, I would not be where I am today. Without his heavy hand. And my mother showed up 3 years later, and I hugged her and embraced her like she never left. And I think I was in 4th or 5th grade at that particular time. And
did they get back together?
No. Okay. And my oldest brother, who went to go live with my mother, and myself and my brother, who's 11 months older than I am, Willie, we just decided, I'm gonna stay with my dad. This is the first level of stability that we've ever had, and he doesn't deserve to have us taken away from him again. And my brother, who went to go live with my mom, is doing 40 years in prison right now. So when I say the hood, I'm talking about the hood. I made a lot of bad decisions in life. I'm the true definition of God's grace and mercy. The only difference between myself and my brother is I didn't get caught. When I was a teenager, I was about 18 years old. I was a junior in high school, year behind. A friend of mine was murdered, and at my homeboy's funeral, I literally walked up and gave the gun to my preacher, to the preacher. And the reason that I did that is because his mother got up and stood beside the casket. And here I am in high school, and she says, "I forgive the young man who killed my son." Well, we were going to retaliate after we showed respect. And it's a true. When I teach people in network marketing, I always say, minor things can happen. Major things can happen in very minor moments. And it was a couple seconds that I just happened to be present and paying attention to what she said. And it hit me. And I said, who am I not to forgive if the mother has already found forgiveness? And that's I'm a teenager thinking that way. And I gave my gun to the preacher and walked away from that life.
Interesting. It reminds me of a story. This is about you, but I'll tell you a quick story.
Absolutely.
My dad was a preacher.
Really?
And he started a little church camp for our church that was like out in the country. And you know, they had all these camps all the time, and we lived there, and he ran the church camp. And my best friend growing up until right before high school, his name was Albert, and African American guy. We were same age, and we did everything together. We lived at the camp. His mom lived there with his sister, and we grew up, had this experience, and best buddies. And then we moved from the camp, and I went. My parents found a place in the suburbs, and his mom found a place in South Minneapolis. And South Minneapolis, like South Dallas.
Okay. Got it.
And it talks about the power of environment. I'm trying to fit in, being a country boy in the suburbs with the rich kids, and he's trying to fit in a tough situation.
Yeah.
So he found himself in the gangs, and he found himself in the Vice Lords, and he ended up running the Vice Lords. He was like the top guy in Chicago in the Vice Lords. Jesus. And
what was it, Albert? Okay.
Albert, yeah.
Jeez.
And he ended up 20 years in prison. So I often think about the power of where you move.
Yeah.
The power of who you end up being around, the power of all that stuff, because we weren't much different, up to 9th grade.
It's just exposure.
And then we got exposure to two different things. He ended up in prison, I end up here. Wow.
It's funny, in my book, I actually talk about that. It's called the me factor or the you factor, depending on how you look at it. And my brother, Willie, and I talk about this on stages around the world, and I have a lot of fun talking about my brothers. But I talk about the difference. We all grew up in the exact same situation. We have the same fathers, the same, government cheese, the same battered women's shelter, the same projects, the same everything, but we all came out differently. And, I always think, what was different about my brother Willie? He's never been in trouble. He never failed school. He's a minister right now, ordained minister, a principal of a high school. And I talk about it in my book because, Sigmund Freud says that, the things that you ultimately surround yourself around will ultimately dictate your character. But something was different with Willie, and I'm not trying to challenge Sigmund Freud. I'm just saying that Willie made a choice to be in the midst of hell and never stick his hand out to see if the fire was hot. I was curious. I wanted to see if the fire was hot, but something inside him said, I'm not going to participate. So Albert, he chose to participate. I don't feel sorry for my brother who's in prison. I love him. I don't feel sorry for me. I don't feel sorry for my brother who's a principal. I believe, you teach, we all, Dale Carnegie, success leaves clues.
Yeah, of course.
And my brother is successfully in prison. I'm successful in network marketing. My brother is successful in his ministry and being a principal of a school. I just believe that, you could be a successful failure and you could be a successful success. It's what you choose to participate in. And Albert, unfortunately, chose to participate.
Yeah.
And you have to own that. And there, my good friend Gary Eby says that change is the door that's open from the inside. It can only be open from the inside. So if Albert truly, like I did, I had to, I wanted change. I wanted increase in my life. So I had to look in the mirror and say, Johnny, this is your fault. You chose to participate in a lot of these adversities that I brought in my life. It wasn't my fault that I lived in a battered women's shelter, but it was my fault that I decided to be on the streets and participate in the only area of entrepreneurialism I knew as a teenager.
Right, well, and that's part of it too. That's the reason why I'm so grateful that I wasn't exposed to that stuff.
Yeah.
I was never really exposed to drugs. I was never really, like a lot of people were. I was never really exposed to it because... for whatever reason, God had his hand over my life or something, there's this bubble protecting me from stuff. Or my parents had me in church most of the time, being a pastor's kid. But I was so ambitious early on in life that if somebody would have shown me that money or shown me a faster shortcut, I'm glad they didn't show me.
Wow. Well, here's the thing.
Because, maybe I might have said, hey, we can take some money now. We'll figure it out later.
Give me chills, man, because you are Albert and Albert is you.
Yes.
Albert, you cannot become the leader of the Vice Lords if you don't have what you have. Like, I look at what you've created and in a market that you just, on a global scale, you didn't just cut a piece of the pie, you became the entire pie of the voice of the industry that says, listen.
Maybe an outside voice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. An outside voice that's really empowering entrepreneurs across the planet. Albert, if exposed, could be just as powerful.
Of course.
There's no question.
I think about that all the time. I mean, not all the time, but, you know, every once in a while, you tell your story, I just go, man, he just leveled up. He went to the top level in his company.
People always ask me that, you know, Johnny, where did your change come from? Well, I made a change in life morally, but I didn't lose my fight. And I, you know, excuse my language, but I wasn't a punk in the streets.
No, I get it.
So I'm not a punk in the business world. I didn't lose my fight. The number one reason that people aren't successful is because they're afraid to take risk. Well, I was a walking, talking billboard message of risk. Every day, my life was a risk because I chose to put myself in certain situations. Albert mastered the mindset of taking risk. You mastered the mindset of taking risk. It's just the difference between the morals and
what society is going to reward and what it's going to punish.
Absolutely.
So you end up at this funeral, and they forgive the person that killed the
mother stood before the casket. That night, I actually prayed. I said, this is the night before, the wait. The wait, where we all went in. We had counselors because we're youth and they want to make sure that our heads are on right. And so we were invited to be with the family. And that night is where I gave the gun to the preacher because his mother said some things that absolutely changed my life. And that night I prayed, I said, God, send somebody in my life that's going to help me stay out of trouble. Because it wasn't really the first time, you know, I walked away from that lifestyle. But this was the time where I'm like, man, I don't want to come back. I really and truly, I said, God, send somebody in my life. The next day at the funeral, 3 seats down from me, I saw these girls that I didn't know. I was like, who are these beautiful young ladies? You know, I'm at church and I'm thinking like, hey, hot, right? Well, one of them name was Crystal. And Crystal today is my wife for 18 years.
Cool.
She was the reason I started to walk different, talk different. I went to acting school. Acting school probably saved my life fresh out of high school, learned how to articulate and, you know, just I've always been that class clown type guy. But, you know, that saved my life. Then I got involved, fresh out of acting school. I got involved with, went to 2-year degree in acting school. Then I became a health and life insurance agent. And that's where the entrepreneur came from. And I only took that path is because I was an entrepreneur and I wrote my own schedule. And so I wouldn't have to miss auditions. So I was already, you know, thinking, you know, how can I do this without missing auditions? And then I was exposed to network marketing. So
you come from you got this incredible, colorful background.
Crazy, colorful background.
Yeah, and you found a good woman.
Found a great woman who put up with me. Absolutely.
Yeah. And you have kids?
I have 3 kids. My oldest daughter is 15. Her name is Psalms, like the book of the Bible.
Nice.
Psalms Noel. And then I have Hannah Joel, who's 13. And I have a son named Honor, who's 5. 8 years later, God finally honored me with a boy, so I named him Honor.
Oh, cool.
Honor
what
Mondrell.
A cool name.
Yeah.
So you're going through your life. You're doing okay.
Yeah, 25 years old. I was a regional vice president for an insurance firm.
Yeah.
Recruited for the state of Texas and Oklahoma, traditional insurance, health and life insurance. And I got involved with network marketing. The funny thing is my boss trained me to not listen to these things called network marketing because they're going to notice something in me and everybody's going to try to recruit me. So he was wanting to keep me captive.
Inoculating you.
Right. So in the very beginning, I was the guy, you come with me at 20 reasons why I should join your team, I would give you 40 why you need to get out. And I was good.
Right.
I was good based on what I was trained to believe. It just wasn't a real world. And the internet came around in the year 2000. I was introduced to network marketing for the first time. And I don't know anybody else that can say this story, and I've trained all over the world. And I normally don't tell this story to bring people in the business because it's just not a duplicatable story. My first time in the industry, my first ID number, I made over $100,000 in 90 days. I didn't know anything about the industry. I was just go mode. I had great mentors. I was following them. And I tasted the Kool-Aid. And my manager in the insurance industry, I don't tell the story a lot, actually his way, he said, Johnny, I will let you use my office at night to do presentations. You can invite people if you don't quit selling insurance. Well, I ended up recruiting him. I recruited his, vice president of the company. I'm getting them in. And then eventually, about 4 or 6 weeks, I walked away from that industry, and I've been network marketing full time since. Coaching and doing books and seminars and television.
Sure, just you're helping people.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, you get addicted to it, don't you?
I love it. I mean, I don't know another industry where I can spend a little bit amount of money to become a representative, and if I choose to, I have access to a multi-million-dollar, success or a multi-million-dollar return based on what I'm willing to put into it. It is work. It's network marketing, like you teach. And I begin to grow very passionate about the industry. Entrepreneurialism is my baby. I love talking about entrepreneurialism, and I speak at seminars all over the world. But network marketing is the only industry I know where everybody can start the same. Like, no one asked me, what is your background? Where do you come from? American Airlines told me no. FedEx told me no because, I had a background as a teenager. I already had a felony arrest as a teenager. Network marketing never asked me. So the bottom line is, like I talk in my book, and, Les Brown and I, you don't have to consult your past to determine your future. And the number one thing that I had to do in my life is to forgive myself. And that was, the beginning process of success. I think increase comes from within, winning comes from within. And I teach wealth development, skills with my leaders and leaders across the planet. Even if they decide to go somewhere else and we decide to part ways, use the principles to be successful. You don't have to manipulate, you don't have to lie, you don't have to steal or cheat. Just learn the principles of true wealth. And truly, if you do, you can pass it down generationally because you don't have to hide from the words or your principles that you're teaching people.
So we're not going to give specific numbers, but of the top people in your company, where are you?
I would say we don't really
top 10, top 20.
Oh yeah, top 5.
Top 5.
I would say top 2 or 3 in the United States, top 5.
Top 5 in the world, big company, doing really, really well. Now, you're a professional speaker.
Yes, sir.
So your tendency is going to be to give me an answer that you've given a million times.
Yeah.
I want you to dig deeper.
Come on.
Okay? And really try to examine not the stuff that sounds good, but the real stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay, here's the real stuff. Now, because I know the stuff that sounds good is real stuff too. Okay?
Yeah, I get you.
But I do the same thing. You get in presentation mode and, okay, I'm going to give them this. Here's my 3 steps to this, or here's my 4 keys to that.
It's okay.
Whatever.
Keeping it real with Wimbrey and Worre. Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go.
So what makes you different? Now, for real, let me ask the question, and while I'm asking, you can think about it.
Okay.
There's people with the same amount of talent as you that come in and leave. There's people who, same talent as you, similar background as you, whatever, same capability as you, come in and have modest success, maybe 6-figure a year success. Yeah. Some people come in, they're earning, got a few customers, they earn a couple $1,000s a year. What makes you different? What is the differentiator? Because there's got to be a key differentiator or 2 or 3 or 4 that if you really looked at everybody, that is the magic to a high level thinking person.
I really think that from a personal perspective, what makes me different is I just have a me too attitude. My mindset is, if Eric can do it, me too. And I really believe, and that sounds so, not shallow, but there's no depth to it really. I don't think there's one person on the planet that can be trained to do something that I can't be trained to do. That's the first thing. The first thing is I just have a me too attitude. If God can give it to you, he can give it to me, which means we all have access. Number 2 thing is... No,
that might not be true with like athletic ability.
Well,
it might not be true with your ability to sing a song. Yeah. You might not have some natural gifts.
But the key is, in my mind, I believe it.
Right. But the difference is here there's no barriers.
Right. There's no barriers.
You don't have to be 6'5".
Right.
And 250 pounds of pure muscle, and blessed with genetic abilities to be able to rush the quarterback or whatever.
I just believe that I look at somebody like Spud Webb, you know, very short basketball player. In my mind, I'm like, if he can do it, and even if I couldn't, at least I believe that I can. And I think that people don't start the process is because they don't believe they can.
So believing that you can do
and believing early.
Well, believing that you can learn it.
Absolutely.
Not believing that you deserve it day one.
No. It's definitely a process, and I'm answering in order. That would be the first thing. I just have to accept the fact that it's possible for me. Believe that it's possible for me. I think the thing that makes me different in terms of as a leader is I lead with my heart. I think that a lot of people, and I think a lot of people do, but if you allow somebody to talk long enough, they tell you who they are, right? So.
Usually doesn't take long.
Yeah, and I could tell if you're coming from heart. To me, heart is leader. To me, if you're just, you know, if I'm going to motivate you so I can make money off of you, that's a dictator. That's motivation by manipulation. That's my pet peeve. Me, I want to help you make money. I want to help you become successful. Crazy thing is, the end result is exactly the same. The heart is what makes the difference. I don't lose leaders because I lead with my heart. And I've been very blessed to have leaders that led me with their heart, and very few people that were dictators, but I separate myself or I get away from that as quick as possible as soon as I identify it. But I think the thing that really makes me different is I can't look down on anybody. I can't, Eric, I can't.
You could. You're a top earner. You're top 5 in the world.
But look where I come from.
Yeah, but you're still top 5 in the world.
I
so
can't.
You could. So other people have. They forgot where they came from, and they.
Let me show you how bold I am with this prayer. I literally on stage before tens of thousands of people, and even on television, I've said, the day that I feel like I'm better than someone else, God, take me home. Like I don't want to know what it lives. I don't want to know what it feels like. And I'm not. This is no BS. Like I really feel this way. I mean, it's a prayer. I don't want to know what it feels like to be able to look down on somebody, because at that point, I'm no longer, you know, a student. And it's fun being a student. I don't want to know what it feels like to not be a student anymore. And the only way that I can not be a student is if I believe in my mind that I arrive. In my mind, I'm always arriving.
How do you balance that with some people take that principle too far, and because of that, they don't believe in themselves at all. You know, so their self-worth is affected because they play themselves down and they just say, you're always better, you're 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 better. So when you have that, pretty soon they start treating themselves small, and they play small. Okay.
So here's an answer that's going to sound rehearsed because I've said it 1,000 times.
Okay.
But I do believe, and you're going to hear me very clearly, I'm not better than anybody, and no one's better than me.
Okay.
Which means the difference between arrogance and confidence. If you don't understand the difference between arrogance and confidence, arrogance is when you think you're better than someone else. Confidence is when you understand nobody's better than you. And if you really and truly can understand the difference between that, if you lead in confidence, of course people are going to mistake that for arrogance. But people who don't understand the difference between arrogance and confidence, they're always going to be intimidated by confident people. I'm not going to slow down to justify my
make
confidence.
Somebody else feel comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I just, if I slow down to entertain the people who have mislabeled me, I'm allowing outside, energies to slow me down from who I authentically, being authentic to who I really am. And I'm just very confident. I'm very confident in who I am and whose I am, and I'm very confident in where I'm going. The reason I got involved with acting is because someone told me you do one commercial, you can make money again and again. The reason I got involved with health and life insurance, because they said if you sell a health and life insurance policy, every month you can get paid again and again and again. So I was already under the mindset of residual income. When I found network marketing, it just matched everything that I was already passionate about. I can't lead, and I don't have leaders. I have leaders of leaders. I've made millions in the industry, but I've created and been directly a part of creating, dozens of millionaires in the network marketing industry working with me, and other people who aren't even working with me, just teaching principles. And that's, I do believe that when people hear from me, they just hear a different not just a different, not even a more authoritative energy or teaching. It's more so, man, this guy really cares. Like, he really cares.
Yeah, if you could show that, I mean, I think the reason why we have a relationship with our community around the world is they know that I give a damn.
There's no question.
I really, 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 I'm not doing this for any other reason other than the fact that I really care. I want to see people succeed. Yeah. That makes, but so that's kind of the secret sauce that I've seen with a lot of leaders. Okay, so I got one thing is me too.
Yeah.
If somebody else can learn it inside of network marketing, I can learn it too. It might take me a little longer than some.
Absolutely.
But I'll get there. That's number one. Number two is that the fact of always learning.
Always learning.
Always being
a student for life.
Being a student for life.
Yes.
3 is leading with the heart.
Yes, for me, it works for me leading with the heart.
Yep.
And it's not a mushy type situation.
I get it.
Yeah, I'm not a pushover leader.
Right.
I'm going to tell you, the Bible has some of my favorite principles. Open rebuke is better than hidden love. And I don't mind openly rebuking and pushing my people because iron sharpens iron. So I'm not saying I'm loved
if
all
they
the
can
way.
tell you care, they'll hear they'll hear those hard
That's
words.
the difference.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
I've seen some people, because I do the same thing. And sometimes when I'm speaking on stage, I'm pretty tough. I'm hard.
Yes, you are.
Okay, so I've seen people try to do the same thing without the heart.
Right.
And the whole room turns on them.
Yeah.
The whole room goes, who do you think you are? You didn't earn that ability to have that conversation with me yet.
That's
Because they come in and they just go bam. Right. And they hadn't built up the emotional connection. It's just like, it's not what I said. It's the intent and the heart that I said it with.
But let me tell you this, and I'm glad you said that, because I respect anyone who's, doing their best to articulate the network marketing stage, entrepreneurialism as it is. I respect the fact that anyone who's trying to articulate that or doing their best to articulate it, but I don't endorse them. I endorse you. I do believe that you are a walking, talking billboard. I do believe that you are the message that you bring. You're not just getting information and regurgitating it and teaching it. Right. You are the message that you bring. If you've never done it in network marketing,
you can't.
You're not qualified to teach it.
You can think you can
regurgitate the information, but I can see.
It drives me crazy. The people who think they know our business, they think they do. Even people working inside of companies, the home office people, they think they know it. They think they can't. They can't know it until they've done 1,000 meetings. They can't know it until they've had hundreds of no-shows.
Right.
They can't know it until they've had their heart broken with people quitting.
Absolutely.
They can't know it until, that the lonely part of our business. They can't know it. And we can't really know what it's like to be an employee because we're mostly unemployable now. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think about what you just said. I've had people in my team that, even other teams, get messages from all over the world. Sure. Johnny, I can't get people if people in my family aren't going to join me, why would other people join me? I was a multi-million-dollar earner in the network marketing industry before I had one blood relative in my team. Yep. One!
I know.
No exaggeration, not one blood relative. And then my brother Willie joined. And then all the family came in because the good boy, the boy who never been in trouble, joined the business.
So
I didn't join the industry so my family could join. I saw an opportunity. I wanted them, and I went to them first. And I wanted to get their nose out of the way very quickly so they could never say I didn't come to them first. And after, the cars, the houses, the traveling and lifestyles,
they're confused by it.
Of course, they're coming to me like, Johnny, I did tell you.
No, my family. Many of my family are involved in network marketing, but many of my family are completely confused.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, if you've been programmed by a system since kindergarten.
Okay. It's okay. I'm still the weird one. It's okay. And can I offer you one piece of input?
Absolutely.
All right. There's one word that I think if we eliminate it, our entire business gets better.
Go for it.
It's the word industry.
Okay.
Okay. If you replace that word with profession, the whole posture changes.
That's good. I like that. That's very good.
You know what I mean? And saying if you get involved in this industry, I get involved in that industry. You know, I've got involved in the network marketing industry. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that.
We're not in an industry. We're in a profession.
I got that. Like light bulb when you said it. Absolutely.
The pride that will happen in the team as that language gets replaced, that they're all part of a profession. This is a profession, like a doctor, a lawyer. This is a career path versus just being a cog in an industry. See what I mean? I like that. Anyway,
and you have the authority.
I'm just telling you
to say that.
No. I'm just telling you. From the ripple effect of that is very small, but very profound. I love it as it goes through the group.
I love that.
All right, give me another thing that's different about you that you know from an average distributor. What's a differentiator?
Well,
what's the secret sauce? Is there a secret sauce?
I teach the basics. Yeah. I know, and if you really hear what I'm about to say, your team never stops growing. And the reason my team has never stopped growing, I'm not saying it hadn't slowed down, but it's never stopped progressing and growing and expanding into different countries, is because I simply teach people how to create a win-win situation. Whatever your product is, if you can't teach someone how to create win-win situations with that product and the opportunity, it's going to die. So a win-win situation is, you know, can you make your money back in the first 28 days? That's a win-win situation. Can you save more money in the first 28 days than it cost you to join your company, become a rep, and maybe get your starter kit, whatever it is? When a leader can create a win-win situation, a system, not how to become a millionaire. That's too big.
Step one.
Average people can't hear that.
How to get that basic building block.
When you join any profession, business umbrella, if you are an investor, the number one thing that any investor on their mind wants right off the top, how fast can I get a return on my investment? And I know that's not a word that we use in our profession. However,
see, you got it already.
Exactly. I'm very coachable. That's going to be my final thing. Remind me to go back to coachable. Is if I can create, not if, but when I create a team of individuals that can get people off the ground to create a win-win situation, if it causes you to have one less doctor visit that quarter, whatever it is, create a win-win situation. Get your mind off of how much money you can make off of these distributors and help these individuals create a win-win situation, because win-win situations never stop if you focus on that. And I've always convinced myself, you know, how fast do you want to make your money back? Your first 72 hours to 28 days, you get to choose, Eric. And if it's not about money for you, how fast do you want to create a win-win situation off this opportunity and the product that we're giving you access to?
Now let me ask you, because there's a dichotomy with all of this that I'm trying to find the sweet spot of. Okay. A traditional business in the United States is the average person spends about $65,000 according to government statistics. $65,000 to start their business. They hope to get a return of that investment within 2 to 3 years, on average.
Wow, it used to be 2 to 5.
That's what they that's their hope. That's not what they get.
Right. Okay, I got it.
That's their hope. 50% of those go out of business in the first year. 80% go out of business in 5 years. 96% go out of business in 10 years. Okay, 4% are left are not necessarily making money. They're just still alive. So that's the reality. Yep. That's the entrepreneurial landscape in the world today. Now, not everyone can get their money back in the first 28 days, because the price of entry is so low. Yeah. But not everyone will.
Not everyone will.
So what is the balance of expectation management that we need to settle on in our profession that gives people a proper expectation to win? And let me further that question. What I wonder is, if a person comes in for, let's say, $1,000 or less.
That's funny you say that's the number I use.
Okay.
On any company.
Yeah. If we give them 12 months as an expectation to get their money back and get themselves into profit, is that better than saying 28 days? By saying that the 12 months, and because here's the biggest problem in network marketing, in my opinion. Everybody tells the whole world that it's easy. And it's not easy.
No.
They say, oh, it's easy. Come on in. It's easy. It's a piece of cake. It's easy. You know, just come in, talk to a couple people. It's easy. That's not real.
Easy and success should never be used in the same sentence.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's challenging. It's hard. And it's not immediate. And you're going to have to learn. You're going to have to face your fear. You're going to have to grow. So what I wonder is if we say, you know, hey, what if we set the expectation? It might take you this. I'll show you a plan.
Right, there you go.
To get it into 28 days or get it into 72 hours if you want. But wouldn't it be a success if we got it in 1 year?
Absolutely.
You know, if we set that as an, I'm just wondering. You know, where's the balance between urgency? Because not if 100% of the people in your organization did it in 28 days, it would be astronomical growth. It would be you know 100% a month.
Insane.
So you know what I know is that something like 2% of your people in your organization do it in 28 days.
Those are the stories I stay with.
You know, but the 98%, how do we keep those from just becoming customers and keep them engaged in a realistic, get their business paid for type of a thing? And it's just an honest question.
Because it's something I deal with all the time.
It's a discussion that I'm having with top earners and companies all over the world to try and find what is the proper standard that we should apply to setting an expectation for a person starting a business in network marketing. And I don't know, I don't have the answer. I'm asking for your perspective.
And I've built an organization of well over 200,000 people in 30 countries, and I have top money earners on 4 or 5 different continents. And when I say top of the food chain.
Yep.
Heart, which basically means if I don't ask you questions, I don't care about you. It is not my job to push on you what I want. It's my job to ask questions. That's why I say, listen, if I can help you make a win-win situation within 72 hours or 28 days, is that something you'd want to participate in? And I listen. Everybody, they're not in it just to make money. They're in it for the lifestyle and the camaraderie of the of the profession.
Developing themselves, meeting new people.
And I have to respect that. I do believe that if I want to push you to a place that you never said you wanted to go, I am no longer qualified to call myself your leader. I am now your dictator. If you listen to what people want, someone may say, listen, I just want to learn entrepreneurialism. Good, don't ever miss an event. Not go make your money back in the first 28 days.
Absolutely.
I have to listen to what they want. The key is for us as leaders, we have to learn how to listen and ask questions. And don't ask questions being manipulative. Ask questions because you genuinely want the answer. And if I truly listen to the answer, if someone says, listen, I want to use this to pay for my child's private education 12 months from now. Oh, you're crazy. What? That's all you want? I'm talking about $1 million homes. I'm talking about changing your lifestyle and traveling the world and just getting. That's not what they said.
Right.
That's what I want for them.
Right.
That's not a leader. That's a dictator. The key for me is I have learned to listen. Maybe it came from acting school because acting is reacting.
Of course.
It's not listening to somebody's line and re-delivering it. It's listening to how you say it and then delivering it. You have to listen, man. You cannot push your expectations upon people. You have to, now here's what you have
a system though.
Yeah, system, that's what I was gonna say. Okay, so easy is lazy. Simple is basically energy with a system that's in place, and now it becomes simple. It's not simple because it's easy, it's simple because there's a system in place. When you could plug somebody into a system, it can be simple, but I never use the word easy. Again, your heart will cause you to listen. And when you listen, there are people on my team, and not even in my team, that I've helped, save marriages because I saved my marriage. My wife and I were going through a divorce for 2 years, a $300,000 divorce that never happened, and it was just all ego. And I swallowed my pride and said, I can't be the guy on stage talking about don't give up and don't quit, and here I am giving up on my #1 commitment in life, the person that helped me change my life. And so I've been in people's lives, and people come to me for all things that have nothing to do with business because they know I care about them and I want them to win from the inside out. You want to build a legion of leaders? Care about them outside the money. Now you have individuals, trust me, my guys, my girls, I got people from Brooklyn, from, just the Bronx, from the hood of all hoods. I got people on my team who joined the business 5 years ago using an unemployment check that are millionaires today, documented on paper. And if I call them right now, they'll meet me outside your front door if I need them right now. And it has nothing to do with money. It's a brotherhood. It's a sisterhood because they know I care about them. Whether I make money on them or not, I care about them and I love them. And I'm sorry, Eric, it's always going to lead back to heart for me.
Yeah. So if you were to define your culture within your organization,
my culture is, if you said this and you saw me implement it immediately, if you're coachable, trainable, and teachable, you'll be unstoppable. Coachable, trainable, and teachable. But I only listen to people who are qualified. See, I think in this industry, or in this profession, and in this world, we listen to people who sound good, they look good, but you can't follow a parked car. Eric is not parked. I can document his success. I can document what he has done for hundreds of thousands of people around the world. So I have no problem plugging into you because you are the message that you bring. I am coachable, trainable, and teachable, but I don't follow parked cars. Dogs don't even bark at parked cars. Why would we follow one? And I think that is the downfall of our profession because we follow people because they look good and they sound good, but you never open the trunk or the hood to see if there's really an engine.
In real life, yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
So is it about part of your culture? Is it about action? Is it about movement?
I think, our culture.
One, I know it's about heart.
It's heart.
I got that.
Okay.
And anything else, if you were to define your culture, somebody was to do a case study on the culture in your organization, what would be another defining factor?
When it's not fun, stop. If you can't keep it fun, stop doing it.
But does every piece of it have to be fun?
No, let me give you an example. Fun could be, let's say that every time I see you and you're in my team or I'm on your team, I'm in your team, every time I see you, we're only talking about business. I've had organizations, my personal growth, all of my leaders' growth, any leader in network marketing, I don't care if you're a multi-million-dollar earner, when your team slows down and your success starts to go backwards, I guarantee you, I'll trace it back. I'll pick the breadcrumbs up, and I guarantee you I'll trace it back to the fact that your team stopped having fun together. I had a team out of South Florida in Miami that really, they were the essence of fun. They were always having fun together, and the team just stopped. It was one of my fastest growing teams in the United States, and they just stopped. And I started talking to the leaders, and I said, you guys aren't doing what you were doing before. You're not going, you guys were going to third world countries to build schools together and get your hands dirty. You were doing things that had nothing to do with money, but you were building a brotherhood and building a sisterhood. So they did something that was extraordinary that taught me something. I said, do something different. Get the team together on a Saturday. Don't talk about business. Get together in the kitchen, start making sandwiches, cut them up, and go give them to the homeless. They did it. Not only did they do it, they documented it and they created a video, and then they challenged the team in New York. The next Saturday, New York created a video of going to buy 100, burgers and passing them out to the homeless. And then they did a video and challenged a team that I have in South Africa. And it was so organic. It was absolutely insane what happened because it brought back the fun. And when I talk about fun, I'm not talking about partying and having fun. I'm talking about having fun, participating in the profession that you chose, the moment you said yes. When you said, yes, I want to be an entrepreneur, get back to that moment.
So controlling your energy, just keeping your energy right, like Tony Robbins talks about your state.
You almost have, it's a really good example, Tony Robbins, because you really almost have to trick yourself in some points. You have to almost play this game with yourself. And if you can't play that game with yourself, I call it your personal defining moment, your PDM. Here's the bottom line. The moment that I said yes, when I was 25 years old on February the 11th of the year 2000, when I said yes to network marketing, that was my moment. In that moment, I was invincible. Although every energy around me, the no's, the why shouldn't do it, it was still all around me. But for some reason, that personal defining moment, I programmed myself to believe that I could do this. in that moment, the first time you said yes, in that moment, if I can get you to reattach yourself to that moment, the why, the WHY, the reason behind you even joining this business, I can get you. I can keep you. I can keep you in the circle. I can keep you excited. I can keep the culture because I reintroduced you back to you when you said yes. And that's all it did. When they were giving homeless people sandwiches, they were just getting back to the yes.
For me, I have to reattach myself to several different times because the very first time, it was all about greed for me.
Ooh, wow. Good confession.
You know, it was just, I needed to make some money and I didn't care and whatever, you know.
I would have to say me too.
You know, so it took a little while, but then once I decided to be a pro and I decided, okay, I can do this and nobody can stop me.
That's really good.
I went back there. If I go back there to that spot, then I'm in a good space.
That's really good.
You know what I mean? Because I went through some evolution, frankly, you know, and people join for inspiration and desperation, and mine was desperation. It wasn't inspiration.
I was 3 months behind on my house note. Car note. My brand new baby was born.
It wasn't about helping others at that point. It was about making dollars.
I had to get out of the hole. Yeah, absolutely. But it was that
But I get it. You know, coming back to the part, you know, where you have that fresh energy.
You just gave me something that I never thought about, though. The personal defining moment can be on multiple levels.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I've met many different defining
Took my principle to a whole other level.
Yeah, because, you know, again, when I was a taker back then, it took me a while to be a giver with boundaries, which is where I am today. I was a faker first. Then I was a taker. You know, I didn't care. I was just all about ambition. Then I was a giver with no boundaries, and that was the disaster because everybody took advantage of it. And then I became a giver with boundaries, which is what I think is a healthy stage now. But talking about energy and space, Tony Robbins taught me this concept, and when we hung out together recently, he said there's a difference between suffering and pain. So you can be in pain, you don't have to be in suffering.
True.
So you can be completely joyful and have pain in your body, as an example.
Okay.
You could be exhausted, but in a total position of joy. It doesn't have to be a suffering exhaustion. You don't have to attach suffering to all this stuff. You can keep your state in a good place, even if you're in pain. You have a problem with your leg or something.
Yeah.
The pain can be its own thing, but you don't automatically have to take your whole state into suffering. You can stay in joy all the time.
That's good.
Like the thing that blew me away is he just said, you know, I'm this big, powerful, energetic guy on stage. I just decided to take that guy home.
I love it.
You know?
That's good, man.
He just took that guy home, and he's like that all the time.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, okay, well, because when I'm done, I'm done usually. You know, when I'm done with an event, I like go, you know, I'm not that same guy.
Yeah.
So this is a new muscle I'm trying to flex.
That's good.
To try and find that space because when I'm exhausted, usually I'll take on a suffering energy.
Yeah, I'll hide in the corner sometimes.
Yeah, I'll take on but I don't need to have a suffering energy. That's a choice.
Tony is a freak of nature.
I know, he's so cool.
He's a freak of nature, man.
He's a good dude, and he's very authentic in what he does.
Extremely authentic.
All right, well, listen, so much good things. Where can people get your book?
They can get it from my website or Amazon.com.
Amazon?
Yeah, Amazon.
Johnny Wimbrey?
Yeah, CoachJohnny.com.
CoachJohnny.com. Awesome, perfect. You know our audience.
Absolutely.
These people want it. You know, they want success. They want to develop themselves. They want to face their fears. They want to get past their limiting beliefs. They've got unfinished business inside this thing called network marketing, and they see somebody like you that's at the pinnacle, the absolute top. What I'd like you to do is look in the camera. Which one do you want to look at? Look in that camera over there.
Okay.
Look in the camera like you're sitting with them face to face in their living room. They've listened to us for an hour or whatever this is. So the ones that are here are for real.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah. Very true.
All the posers and amateurs are gone long ago. You know, they're gone in the first 5 minutes. They had something pop up on their browser and they're gone. But not this group. This group is watching.
Love it.
So what advice do you have for them to help them live their dreams?
Yeah. Understand the fact that you made a decision to be an entrepreneur, and you have to participate in your rescue. I believe that most people look at individuals like us as if we are the all-in, answer. We are a part of the answer. But the truth is, the principles that we are teaching you, it is up to you to implement it in your life. You have to make it implementation. Information, you can get information at the library, but when you make it impartation, when you actually implement the information that you're using, now you are on a path towards your success. But the truth is, if you don't participate in your rescue, I can't help you. Eric can't help you. We are simply agents of increase. We are agents of success. We are agents of individuals just exposing you to the possibility that increase still exists. One of the most founding or profound things that move me in my life is understanding that the moment that I stop entertaining increase is the moment that I immediately start going backwards. And you may say, Johnny, well, I'm just standing still. I'm not going backwards. If you're standing still and one person is moving forward, my friend, you just went backwards. Never compare yourself with people who are standing still, because people who are standing still are getting left behind by those who are still doing it. Participate in your rescue. Participate in your rescue. You don't have to be great, like Les Brown says. You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to become great. Just participate in where you say you are going and make that declaration and participate in that declaration. I think the number one reason that people fail in this profession is because they aren't participating in their own rescue. And it's always somebody else's fault. It's always, somebody else's fault. In church, like, I didn't want to do it. The devil made me do it. But listen to me. Sometimes the devil's outside looking in the window saying, it wasn't even me this time. I wasn't even there. You have to take ownership for your success as well as your failures. But I promise you, if you participate in your rescue and stop waiting for us, just use the information, come back and revisit and revisit and revisit and revisit the information, but also participate in where you say you want to go. And I promise you, you are going to grow. There's always areas for increase, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, whatever it is, just seek increase and you'll find it. Participate.
Johnny, you're the man.
Thank you, brother. It is an honor and a pleasure. This is long overdue.
Yes, this is long overdue. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got value from this. I know I did. Get Johnny's book. Check it out. I'm sure you're going to get good value from it. And if someone else needs to hear what we've talked about, forward this video to them. Forward this link. Let them see it. Let them see what's going on. We're here and we're paying this forward because we want to see you fulfill your potential.
Absolutely.
For you to step into your greatness inside of the network marketing profession. And don't ever believe you can't do it because you can. All right? Ladies and gentlemen, our wish for all of you is that you decide to become a network marketing professional. That you decide to go pro, because it is a stone cold fact that we do have a better way. Now let's go tell the world. Everybody have an amazing day. Have a fantastic week. And we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye. Hey, my name is Eric Worre. And if you're involved in the network marketing profession, I want to invite you to come to the Network Marketing Pro YouTube channel. Every week, we put out content on how you can become a network marketing professional. We have tips, ideas, strategies, interviews with million-dollar earners in the profession, interviews with global icons like Tony Robbins or Sir Richard Branson, lots of different things that we provide there absolutely free. Do yourself a favor. Click on the link, subscribe to the YouTube channel, tell your friends to do the same, and I can't wait to see you there.